Hello. This is the joint meeting for Health and Human Services and Finance, Audit, and Budget. And we will be starting shortly, and we will be saying the pledge in about 10 seconds.
That's for you, Joe.
We will say the pledge now.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a adoption of the agenda, please?
So moved, Song.
Support Matuzik.
So Commissioner Song made the motion. Commissioner Van Sickle supported it. Is there any dialogue? Then we'll take a vote, please.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. I need to know approval for the minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Hall.
Support.
Is there any discussion? Commissioner Hall made the motion and Commissioner Kraft supported. Take a vote, please.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. We will now go into public participation of anything on the agenda. Anyone can speak for 3 minutes on the agenda and any item on the agenda. We will have a second public participation at the end of the meeting. That will be for 3 minutes on anything else that someone would like to speak on. Is there anyone who would like to speak? All right, I will close public participation now. Thank you. We're going to go to, I think, Ernest, we'll have you for these three. Sure. Yes. Yes.
Chair, I'll make a motion to move to full board.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Sickle, motion for full board, and Commissioner Farrington supported. Thank you. This, we'll go with 6A.
Sure.
Ernest, thank you.
Yeah, you have two items before you here. 6A, the Ballmer Group Goldman Sachs Philanthropy donation. Hopefully you saw some of the press on that. We're glad, oftentimes government just has to survive on public sector grants from the feds and the state. And so we were glad to see some interest in philanthropy here. Just in general, so you know, we're looking to make sure that this has the highest leverage for other government and public funds. Oftentimes there are things that we can't do with government grants. So we're looking to best serve Macomb County residents. We proposed 5 goals for this funding. Before you today is $500,000 because that's what we received in year 1. This was a $1 million grant with $500,000 in the first year and $250,000 in the following 2 years. So there are a range of worthy projects, and we're working strategically to look at our needs assessment and our strategic plan to see what best aligns with them. Obviously, we want to be responsive to community needs. The 5 results that we put forward to the Ballmer Group for this funding was to help increase the diversity of our clients, to make sure we're serving all Macomb residents, to help increase health and human service partnerships, because we want to make sure that we're collaborating and coordinating with all of our services, to help enhance what they call trauma-informed approaches. Oftentimes we're dealing with residents in crises. We coordinate with our friends at Community Mental Health quite a lot, and we believe we could do better to make sure we're responsive to residents when they are in crisis. The 4th goal was to strengthen workforce development supports. As you may imagine, we work with Michigan Works quite a lot. When we have residents that come to us year after year for utility assistance, we want to make sure that we're not just giving them that service they're eligible for, but we're helping them to work forward to a better path. We work with Michigan State University Extension on budgeting and credit repair, debt counseling. And so that's a whole package around how we don't just help them with safety net services, but really help them get on to a better path and a more sustainable path. And the fifth goal we gave them was to coordinate municipal investments into distressed communities. We know across all of our programs that municipalities, local city councils, need to also be making sure that they're investing into the neighborhoods where we see residents in crises. So those are the main 5 goals, and we will be hopefully in the news bringing forward more projects before you as we identify the most worthwhile funding for that philanthropy.
Ernest, Kyle just found something for me that I saw when I was previously looking, but I couldn't find it on this document. Can you explain how the money is broken up that you have?
Oh yeah, the philanthropy?
Yes.
So in general, as you see with the backup documentation, they gave us the $1 million award, and it will come in 3 tranches. They'll give us the $500,000 this year, which is what's before you today, and then it will come in the following 2 years. For the way we budgeted it, because we don't have identified projects, we're working on them, we put it in generic categories across salaries and contract services, and so those will be trued up as the actual projects are implemented. Is that?
Yes, I think, because I don't have it in front of me, I thought it would be. It was, there was some explanation. So is that why you have a general, the larger amounts of money in categories listed
Yes.
previously then?
Yeah, I mean, in general, when we get a grant,
All right, salary and wages, 100,000, fringe
Yes.
benefits, 50,000,
Yes.
operating expenses, 200,000, contract services, 150,000?
yes, that's exactly correct.
Thank you.
Usually, if we get a grant, we already know what it costs to administer that grant. We know whether it's salaries, whether it's contract services, what the breakout is. Because we don't have specific services tied to this, we have general goals. It will depend on what project we're pursuing. For instance, we're looking at an innovative national model to help supplement food pantries. This is a food locker. It's just what it sounds. It helps reduce the barrier for residents to access food services. So if we did, say, a food locker at the jail, if we did it at a community center, that food locker would almost entirely be contract services, maybe with a little bit of staffing. If we do something else, it might be mostly staffing and less contract services. So those were generic items that we put it into that are illustrative. As we get actual projects approved and implemented, we'll true up and see how closely that matches the actual cost. Because this isn't just one service or one project. This will be a series of projects over the year here.
All right, thank you. Let me see if there are any more questions. Commissioner Song, please.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Ernest. How are you?
Thank you.
I'm really excited about this grant funding. As you know, in July, there was a study that came out that said that Macomb County lagged behind other counties in
That's
the
right.
region in regards to public funding and philanthropic funding. So I'm curious how this particular grant came about and how we can, support you and the county in increasing those dollars and making
Sure.
sure that it comes to our county, because as you mentioned, there is a great need for all of these services in our county.
That's right. Well, I am appreciative of your enthusiasm and support. And yes, I thought it was fortuitous. So we got the grant right after the report came out. But again, it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, as you know, you see our budgets. $1 million spreads thin and goes fast. So we hope that this will be a trend that will show the good public sector use of these dollars, and will show real impact. As how you can help, I hope that we'll be seeking and attracting more philanthropy in the future, and really showing how that partnership can leverage these public sector grants for the best benefit of our residents. I would say if you have local philanthropies or foundations or charities, bring it to their attention. Encourage them to consider giving to Macomb County to help leverage their philanthropic dollars with our programs.
Thank you, Ernest. Just one other thing specifically, can you talk a little bit about if there is a grant writer, for example, in the department that would focus on going after some of these public funding and private?
That's a great question. The answer is both and. Per each of our services, we have expert managers that are expert in both running the grant and reapplying for the grant. However, if you see our grant budget every year, we have a lot of traditional funding sources. You know, when you see a grant from the state, chances are we've received it for over a decade. Same with the federal government. So we're good at grant reporting, we're good at grant writing. For the government type of grants we usually receive. It is unusual for the county to be writing philanthropic grants. And that is a position we've talked about and we hope we could see grow in the future to not just be good at applying for government public sector dollars, but to really be seeking out some of those private philanthropic dollars. So to date, it's really been ad hoc. You know, with our Head Start program, we have expert program managers who know about the Delta Dental grant that I brought before you the other month. So they know about their world and their silo, and they seek out philanthropy in that area. But it's never been a big endeavor, and we'd like to increase it so we can increase the philanthropy
Okay.
that comes to us.
Specifically, could we look at what other counties like Oakland and Wayne
Sure.
are doing, and maybe take, some of the positive
Yes.
things that are working in their county and apply it to ours?
Absolutely. I will take a look at what other county positions may exist in other counties for philanthropic grant writing, and I'll let you know.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Hi again, Ernest. You had mentioned providing assistance to local municipalities. How do you ascertain which of the municipalities get that type of assistance?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's to be determined. In fact, I was actually implying the opposite. I was implying what municipalities want to invest their funding into distressed neighborhoods that we could leverage with these dollars. I think every government budget is tight, and we want to use this philanthropy in the most high leverage way. And so to the extent that there are municipalities looking to invest into their own neighborhoods, I would think that's what would make it eligible. Not that Macomb County inherently wants to pick and choose or open a grant process for, city councils to propose that we spend our money, but show a demonstration that they're looking to invest in their own communities is probably the type of thing that would attract our partnership and support.
That's a great philosophy. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Sickle?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ernest.
Afternoon.
You mentioned you're working on a list of projects.
Yes.
I was curious, the projects that you fund with this grant, are those projects solely funded by this grant, or do you partially fund some projects with this grant and commingle it with dollars from other places such that the actual project is sort of co-funded or something?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I hate to say it again, but I think it will be to be determined. Obviously, this grant itself can fund things. But, what we have to always consider when we fund something solely with philanthropy is the ongoing costs. What are the ongoing costs to the administration of the county if we could fund that food locker like I mentioned? Well, great, we can fund it. We could even maybe prepay some costs. But eventually we have to consider, unless we're just giving it away and it's gone, if we're investing into something that's sustainable and ongoing, what are the ongoing costs to the county and how might we plan for that? So I think with every project, we'll be ascertaining whether or not there is an ongoing cost or whether maybe, as you're suggesting, it'd be higher leverage if it could commingle and complement existing county services.
So basically, you're saying there's no fixed rules or
That's right.
no rules that you have to adhere to?
No, this is a very generous donation that it has discretionary funding in our decision-making for what's the highest priority for Macomb residents.
And you mentioned some of the programs that you do. Do you track who takes advantage of those programs? And if you have people who, I don't know how to put this PC-wise, that are chronically looking for help as opposed to taking your help to build themselves out of a hole, if you will.
Yes.
Do you track those and give those people specialized attention to try to really get them on their way?
One of the great truisms of government service is you can't force people to apply or enroll. We can tell them about all the services we have. We can tell them about Michigan Works. There is no ability to refuse to give them eligible safety net services if they won't go to Michigan Works. But certainly we do track that. In fact, we're working to increase our tracking ability, to look at every municipality, who's receiving what services, if there are gaps, and also where there are trends and people who come back year after year after year for utility assistance. Of course, we want them to succeed. It'd be my greatest pleasure if I told you that we were returning government money because we did such a good job at getting people self-sufficient that Macomb County had to return federal money for utility assistance.
Yeah, I wasn't implying you shouldn't help people. I was sort of going toward the direction of maybe you have to give them a special focus
Sure.
to help them.
Well, I would consider that for this philanthropy. Maybe we make a set aside that says, you know what, if you've come back 3 years in a row and you still haven't got it, we can say there's a special program just for you. Now that can require you to go to Michigan Works to access those special dollars.
Yeah, because it's so good when people get to be self-sufficient.
That's right.
It makes, I think it gives them a whole mental attitude of a better mental well-being.
Yes.
So,
Well, I appreciate that, and we'll certainly look into it. We can't do it with our current dollars, but we could have a carve-out for some philanthropy that is just for those residents who year after year seem to be in a rut, and we think something could get them out
give
of
them a
it.
special hand.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Especially making note that with grass cutting, which will be stopping shortly, winterization, especially snow removal, for anyone who wants to help elderly or women who might be alone, or people who need help with that.
That's right.
Be aware in the neighborhoods and be aware for helping through your department.
Yes.
Give a call, because it's always needed.
That's right.
Do we vote now on this, or am I going through? Am I going through, Adriana?
No, we need a vote.
Okay. I thought so. There's no more dialogue, I believe, so we'll take a vote, please.
Motion passes 10-0.
Ernest, do you want to go through, B now?
Yes. Did you make a motion for that one?
Yeah, motion to move the full board.
Support.
Commissioner Van Sickle made the motion, and Commissioner Hall supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this is one you've seen before. If you remember, I described the Weatherization Deferral grant to you earlier this year. The challenge here is that why it's called deferral is we often go into a home to assess it for needed repairs such as a new furnace or attic insulation, and say they need a new roof. We say it's an eligible job in an eligible household, but we have to defer the job. We can't put insulation in an attic if the roof needs to be replaced. That's not a wise use of government dollars. So we have a list of jobs that are eligible and qualified. They've submitted an application, but something like needing a new roof has deferred that eligible job. And so recently, the state of Michigan, I don't know if you've seen a lot of federal legislation, is supporting more of these energy-efficient home repairs. It's a great bipartisan issue. Everybody loves saving actual energy waste. In fact, there's a state commission called the Energy Waste Reduction Group. And so they offered this deferral money to say, let's not only fix the roof, but it will allow you to use more of the federal money that's eligible for attic insulation if we fix the roofs. So Macomb County has one, in my opinion, of the best weatherization programs in the state. We moved through the money quicker than others. So they offered us an additional $50,000. So now talk about money stretching thin and not going far. Cost about $8,500 to repair a roof, right? So that will give you 6 more homes. So 6 more homes can get a new roof, but that also means that 6 more homes now will be qualified for the other weatherization assistance that we know they're eligible for, but we had to defer because they needed a new roof. Many other communities chose a large list of deferral services. We knew that there were enough roofs out there that that's all we've done with this money. We're just repairing roofs so that we can then get in there and get these weatherization dollars spent in those homes.
Thank you, Ernest. We'll take a vote, please.
Motion passes 10-0.
And we'll go through C, please.
Thank you all.
Chair, I'll make a motion to move this to full board.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Song made the motion, and Commissioner Nard supported. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Natalie Dean Wood from the Macomb County Health Department, along with Martha Brooks, our County WIC Coordinator. We're here to get a motion to approve the Access Grant. The Access Grant actually provides WIC services to those in our community that are Arab American and speak Arab American languages, not English. And we're just coming to you to get the approval for the grant to be worked out for this year in the amount of $311,000.
I don't see any speakers, Chair. Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you.
Vicki, is it possible for me to ask you a question?
Depends on the question.
Well, you know everything, so I think we're good to go.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I had a citizen call me recently, and her child's in daycare, and she has to get a form filled out to go to the health department, and the person who spoke with her was very nice, very explanatory, but she had to wait a couple months or X amount of weeks to be able to get in there. And she was concerned about her daycare holding her position, and it was explained that it would be fine, we'll have them call the health department, and that she would not be going into the building, and the person would be coming out to her, and she had to watch some videos. So the child wasn't vaccinated, a young child. She chose not to vaccinate. And so I wondered if that, I assume with school time, being in a school year, that's probably a busier time for this type of thing. You may know that or not, or.
For seeking vaccinations for children?
Well, she didn't want to vaccinate. She needed the form from the health department of Macomb County because she lives in Macomb County for the daycare, the waiver.
A waiver?
Yes, the waiver.
Yeah, a
Yes,
waiver
yes.
form.
So why wouldn't there, so to get, they must think this person needs education on this, I would assume?
Yeah, I'm assuming Natalie, do you want to? Natalie will be better than me on
Oh,
the
okay.
specifics for it.
Thank you very much.
So, correct, Commissioner, this is a very busy time and that is our SIP program, our school immunization program. And for those parents that choose not to have their children vaccinated, they have to have a waiver, and they go through a waiver education process. Prior to COVID, you could come into the department, you have a face-to-face interaction with one of the SIP nurses, and they'll go through things for you to qualify for the waiver. You get the waiver, you go back. Now that we're in COVID, it's no coming into the building. They have it set up through the state where the parents watch a few videos to explain what the immunization's about, the waiver process, and things of that nature. Then when they get to the health department, they make the phone call. The waiver individuals from our team come out to the parents and provide them with that form. Right now is it's always busy at this time of the year when it's time to go back to school. I believe now post-COVID, with the immunizations and the vaccines, the population has even increased in those that want waivers. There is a wait time, and we are understaffed in that area right now. So that's definitely another big issue with getting waivers done in a timely manner. Personally, I have not heard of anybody not being able to get into their daycare or pre-K type of activity because of a waiver, but we are so short understaffed. We're like months out, and we're doing the best that we can do, but this is a very busy time, and the number of individuals now requesting waivers has drastically increased.
So my question to you is, this person thought she would be watching a video on her phone in her car. That's what she was told, that there wasn't the way she could see the information or get the information beforehand.
I don't know if they actually do it both giving them a link at home or on their phone, but I can find out for you. And was her issue that she could not see the link on her phone, or what was her issue?
No, that was what she was told. She'd be sitting in a parking, specific parking lot area. And it would be designated. And I just was curious how that worked. I mean, I know years ago they would call you and speak with you for X amount of time explaining things, and versus a lot of people now are quite educated on things.
Right.
So All right, so then I just wondered how that,
Yep, that is the process for them to view the videos before they come in for their appointment, whether it's, this is the first time I heard about it over the phone, the smartphone. But I know they do give them links and they can watch them at home, and then I guess now they can do it via the smartphones.
well, maybe she misunderstood. I'm not positive about it.
But-
Okay.
But that is the process now. They don't come into the building.
If you could find out exactly what the process is, I would appreciate it. You could call the BOC office.
Okay,
And, or email, you can email me, or whatever's easier for you.
okay, no
All right,
problem.
thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
No problem.
Point of information,
Yeah, yes, Chair.
on that subject, you had called me about that issue. And I had spoken with our health department director who was researching the issue to find out if it was actually going to be required for that daycare as opposed to the schools are different requirements that people have to meet. And that individual wasn't sure whether they had the right, whether they actually had to fall into that qualification or whether they, and the health department director was working on that issue. Is going to get back to us with a description of what happened, so.
I had,
So just
somebody had
being-
called me, but it was in the Chair's district. So he and I haven't had time to talk about it, actually. I know he was going to make a call, and, but we.
Health Department Director is working on it, and he's going to get back with us on it. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Chair. The correspondence that we have here is about veterans correspondence. I just want to make note that there's now they designed something called the Veterans Pact Act for burns and toxic exposures for veterans during the Vietnam War, Gulf War, and post 9/11 eras. There's for people to read this document, look it up. It has quite a lot of information in there. And again, thank you, Vicki, for coming up and trying to help out there. I appreciate that. That's in what every veteran should know. We are now going to go to Finance,
Chair, I'll
Audit, and
make the
Budget.
motion to receive and file the correspondence.
Now support.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall motioned and Commissioner Song supported. And this will now go to Commissioner Sabatini for the finance. Thank you very much. Oh, we're voting on this.
Chair, we got a vote.
We're ready. Thank you.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you, Chair Zinner. Next item on the agenda is 9A, which is presentations from the Treasurer's Office, the 2022 second quarterly report. We have Christina Miller and Joe Biondo, our deputies, here to answer any questions that we have on this. I need a motion to receive and file first.
Support Van Sickle.
Moved by Nard, supported by Van Sickle. Christina, Joe, do you guys want to give us a quick just overview?
Good afternoon, everyone. Christina Miller on behalf of the Treasurer, Larry Rocca. And I'm here if anybody has any questions or whatnot regarding the portfolio for 630.
Get to that screen. Commissioner Farrington.
Thank you, Chair. I promised Christina I'd ask something. I know we're supposed to really have diversified investments, and looking at it, Bank of America and Chase combined are 77% of all the investments. Is that really diversification?
So if you look at Chase, if you look at a lot of that as treasuries, which technically is with the government, so that would be probably why you see the amount there with Chase. Mm-hmm.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Take care.
Christina got off a lot easier than Joe usually.
She did. Yeah. She may be doing it more often than Joe now.
Motion passes 10-0.
Next item is 10A. This is a receive and file. This is approved by bypass. This is a promissory note to pay signature Ford 2023 Ford Transit van and F-150 for $522,087. I just need a motion to receive and file this.
So moved. Support Van Sickle.
Made by Haw, supported by Van Sickle. And Chair Brown.
Well, let's have let's hear from the purchasing department. It's got some interesting information to explain this, this case and possibly future ones that'll be coming down the road.
Sadly, we're probably going to have to see this more often over the course of the next few years. This wasn't the first time we've actually experienced this year. This is the first time, though, that we've experienced something with such a short threshold. As you see in the actual information pack that I sent you, even with the state of Michigan, we're not able to even bid out our current automotive list. GM, Ford, and Chrysler are refusing to release their pricing on almost all their vehicles. As you see with the state of Michigan, they've delayed their bid for these vehicles, for all their vehicles, until the end of September, and they've even put a note stating that they're not expecting any vendor to be able to supply prices. More drastically, we actually missed the cutoff for the police interceptors. Ford released on Thursday night, this past Thursday the 8th, and said you had to have all your orders in by Friday. There was no way we could get everything involved. So we're going to have to figure out something come next year to actually buy police interceptors. This one is very specific on the vehicles, on the trucks and the vans that they released and opened up. As you see the giant list, we actually contacted every department. They gave us a wish list, and the fleet manager and myself actually cut those down to specific needs and not just needs and wants. So like when we actually come next year to ratify all these purchases, we'll be able to address where they're, the mileage, the abuse, the reason we're going to be replacing them. But at some point we do need to have a conversation because they haven't released 90% of the vehicles for this year, and we don't have a current bid. We don't know how we're going to navigate this. And though like on this one, I think we had about 2 weeks to do the emergency bypass. As I said, to digress back, the police interceptors, we had less than 12-hour notification. So I am open for suggestions on sitting down and coming up with an idea, because we're not going to be able to operate this way. And again, when I say we, I mean me, because I'm pulling my hair out trying to figure out how we're going to get vehicles to facilitate the needs, especially when it comes to the sheriff's department. These ones they're easy. I mean, we might, like, even if you were to reject it, please don't reject this. We could then come up with different plans, pay a higher premium, buy something off the lot that has those features that we typically don't buy for county vehicles. But when it comes to specific things, and I know you're going to see the same issue with Department of Roads, because this is starting to go up to the Class 8 vehicles, those heavy-duty vehicles, and then again, the police vehicles. We can't buy police vehicles off the lot, so I don't know what's going to happen. To the point, Oakland County had to issue a blank purchase order because they don't have pricing for the Tahoes, and that's what they're switching most of their share of vehicles out to, are the Tahoes. We're still staying with the Explorers. Explorers haven't opened up yet, but this is that precursor to inform you that there may be a time where we have to make that, like, I've sent Don, Joe, and Commissioner Hall and everyone an email saying we had to do this, otherwise we run the risk of not being able to outfit our sheriff's department or any other emergency department that's going to be requiring of this. And again, to go back to the beginning, I don't see an end in sight. Supply chain issues are at a drastic low for automotive vehicles. I don't know if anyone's looked at their personal vehicles or looked to buy a new one. Like, to get any type of features, you're buying extremely high. I know I have a lease that I'm about to turn in, and everything they're telling me that I can buy a lower end vehicle and wait for chips or the aftermarket parts and things like that until they come in. So again, I really am sorry that we're doing this emergency bypass. I know it's not a process we want to do, and it's not something I want to do either, because it makes it so much harder for purchasing. But I don't know what to do coming forward, because again, this was just the first round, and we're again pulling my hair out. So I will take suggestions. If anyone has an in at for GM or Chrysler, please send them my way. So, any questions, any comments, concerns, any suggestions on how purchasing finance and the general county should navigate this going forward with you, so it doesn't look like we're trying to skirt something, but keeping you informed.
Thank you, Larry, for the update. Chair Brown, do you have any questions for Larry? Okay. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Larry, I'm fully supportive of some sort of plan, and I wish I had an idea for one, because I also had a frantic email from Dave Pangatai, our CMH CEO, because wearing my other hat as board chair for CMH, he's going, I have 12 hours to do this. What am I going to do? What's the approval process? This has to be signed today or we miss out. And that's not specific to CMH. I'm looking at the request here, and that's multiple departments. And it's not the department heads that are having the struggles, just the department heads. It's everybody along the approval process.
Correct.
So to be as transparent as possible is incredibly difficult in these types of situations, and we're going to continue to see this, as you're saying. So we're going to have to come up with a plan. I don't have one, but I was happy to tell Dave, I'm like, do what you have to do, because if this is the window, this is what we're going to do. And it's going through the board process in some way, shape, or form. It's not ideal, but it's coming before us. We can see what it is, and this is what we're working with right now. So if I could get you an idea, I will gladly do it, but we will need to come up with something to make everybody's lives easier and to be as transparent as possible. And Larry, I want to thank you and your team for dealing this and handling this the way you did. Thank you.
The next situation that we should probably talk about, whether it be at the next board meeting that I can come to, is again, right now, these prices were off the state contract. That state contract has technically expired. That's why one of the deals was to get it in as soon as possible so we could lock in the state contract pricing. If again, once that state contract pricing comes out, when they bid that out, again, that's what we always defer to if it was something we didn't bid out. Just for an example of we only bid out F-150s, but none of the Mavericks, the electric trucks. If that's all Ford then releases, we would always go to state, because state bids everything. They just get pricing on everything. With this, once there's no pricing, I'm not comfortable. I'm cheap. I don't like giving a purchase order or trying to authorize purchases without pricing. Oakland County is much bigger than us. They have some extra dollars. So again, we're going to have quite a few conversations as we navigate this. And I really do want to keep all of you informed on this, because that's all I've got. So yeah, any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. I know we've approved several police vehicles over the last year, every year, the last 2 years. Do you know offhand how many of our sheriff vehicles that we've approved?
That you've approved so far?
Yeah, in this last year.
Not offhand. I could get you that number.
Would you say it was 8?
Oh, no, way more than 8. Yeah,
12?
because I'm going to say higher than that, because I want to say I think we just ordered 8 for the Mance division. So the entire, I would have to look, because I know, even the budget for the sheriff's department has been increased over, 1.3 to 1.5 million. It's a huge, that's one of our largest.
The sheriff's department typically in any 1 year will purchase somewhere between 15 and 20 vehicles. Maybe there have been years have been slightly higher, but 15 to 20 is a good range.
So we know that going in. So that tells us what to expect if he can find such a deal.
On the sheriff's, yes. But we're also talking about the Mats, the undercover as well, and that is separate. And those are the ones that, so now that one we're okay, because we can find used vehicles. They want used vehicles. They want those ones that are unsuspecting and things like that. It's these ones, though, the issue is, so we'll take as this example. Even if we knew we had 20, some of them are Explorers, some of them are different versions. So trying to come up with knowing when and the grant or the dollars and funding is going to be available. All of us were caught blindsided on last Friday's order. We couldn't put an order in for it because we truly didn't know. Again, we're gonna have to start planning probably a year in advance. That's something I've been working with the Sheriff's Department and the fleet manager on creating something of at least 6 months. What do we know we need here in the next 6 months? Like, it's similar to what we just did. And then hope that the sheriffs don't have to do any pit maneuvers, so.
I like that you think cheap.
Oh.
Good quality, but nice cheap. Thank you very much.
Bare minimum to do their job. That's my, so.
Larry, I think you're spot on with the planning. I mean, even with our current vehicle, policy, I know we scrap them or we sell them after 100,000 miles. Like some of those custom vehicles, are we just going to anticipate just keeping them longer? I mean, we have no choice. We can't get the vehicle.
Oh yeah, again, and that's the other thing. Sheriffs are completely different. They have, obviously, because of the nature of their work. But F&O, facilities operation, we were just in here a few months ago. We'll push those ones out 10, 15 years until literally their doors are falling off, until it becomes a true safety hazard. And even on that, like if we can weld a truck bed back together, if we can do things to make it last a little bit longer, absolutely. Same way we're looking at different options for director level vehicles. We're pushing those out past the threshold of 115,000. I mean, even our clerk Forlini currently is using Sheriff Wickersham's old Explorer right now. We're repurposing, trying to find different uses, making them a little bit longer out of those, the life a little bit longer out of them. So yeah, we're really trying to make these go much further. And again, to go back to the original point of your question, if we buy something off the lot that has those creature features, 100% I will not let that thing leave until it's just dead in the ground. So there's no way.
Well, those price points are pretty high on the used car lots right now.
Well, yeah.
What about the state pricing contract? You said you haven't gotten confirmation on. Can you talk just a little bit more about that?
Correct. So we usually match them at the same time. We typically post it in the beginning of the third quarter. We should have already had our bid out and started reviewing the pricing to then here it would have been at this full board meeting coming up to initiate a new automotive contract. The state had to push off until the end of September, and they're a little bit obviously different from us because they have to then facilitate even more municipalities than we do. They put theirs off because, again, Ford, GM, and Chrysler aren't releasing pricing. And what that means is they're not going to issue the MSRP price to the dealers that they can bid on us. And further, they're not going to release, and when I say they, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, aren't going to release dealer-specific discounts. I'll use our current Ford dealership as Signature Ford. Because of the vast amount of deals they do with the government, they get a higher government discount that they can then trickle down to us. And that's why typically, like you'll see in ours, Signature Ford typically wins our bid all the time, because at that point, we're just looking for a vendor that can give us the biggest discount for the same thing. It's not like it's an apples versus pear where they're similar. It's an F-150. So whoever gets the highest discount typically gets our business. So Michigan State does the same thing, but because, and I'm just going to pick on Signature Ford, because Ford hasn't released their pricing, the MSRP pricing or the discount, they can't bid on them. So that, and I'm not sure on how the state's going to do it, but the reason why we won't bid that out, so if we bid it out with an F-150 and they can't come back with a price and then we award that contract to them, when they get F-150 pricing, it gives them carte blanche to say, well, we'll sell it to you now for $50,000. We've awarded them these contracts. And so that's what the state's done as well. They've pushed it off as long as possible because they're going to have to renew those. And they've put in there to expect no pricing on half of them. So again, so that's what's going to happen again with the municipalities. So again, just to use the F-150 example, state's going to bid on it. If Ford doesn't release F-150 prices by the time that bid closes, it's going to be a $0 bid and not bid. So the state can't then offer anyone a price. And that then affects us. That makes sure we have to then wait until after their bid opens to see what wasn't bid on, and then start working with our vendors and say, when are you going to get that pricing? Because then again, if we bid on it and no one has a price, it becomes again a free-for-all. It's the fox watching the hen house, and I'm not comfortable with that because again, as I said, I'm not paying a premium dollar just because right now, CEOs are deciding to hold pricing because of some supply chain issues, which I understand, but these automotives, we're going to have to figure out different. We're probably going to have to start bidding out multiple times a year, just specific classes of vehicles, just to try to cover our backs to make sure we're getting the best value. And that's what the state did. They waited until the third quarter to release it off into the fourth quarter, and hope to get the most pricing available in. So,
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. You mentioned 100,000 miles. Do we roll our vehicles over based on mileage as opposed to age of the car?
we have both thresholds. It has to meet the minimum, and I threw that 100,000 out there. I'm just saying I know currently Clerk Ferlini has 127,000 on his miles, and Director Andrew Cox has currently 140,000 on his. So it all depends. But yes, we do have minimum thresholds. It's usually got to meet one or the other or both. And then again, because we've started to talk about increasing that threshold because as cars come out, they're becoming newer, they last longer anyways. This is just something, the threshold, and again, I'm sorry, is it 130,000 is our current threshold. I've had cars for up to 200,000. So it's just definitely for the safety. Again, there's regulations for the sheriff vehicles, things like that. But yeah, for the common director, elected official, no, we're bypassing most of those mileages unless you can show that 131,000 miles, you're having a ton of maintenance. So that's how we take a look at it. How much is it now costing in yearly maintenance? How many miles do you have on the vehicle, and then the year of the vehicle? It's got to be a combination of the three because newer vehicles do last much longer. And I believe older vehicles last longer than newer vehicles. So,
Okay, well, clearly the Sheriff's Department vehicles are a different class. Are most of our other cars and pickup trucks, light trucks, all sort of general category that people might buy, or are any of those special?
No, so that's why this was so important for us to get in, because we buy the bare minimum to do the job. So if you look, most of these are just basic F-150s to, for our facilities and operation, public work. They're transportation trucks, or there's a couple of the passenger vans for like the community mental health and all that but yeah, it's bare minimum. We roll down windows kind of thing, no frills. And that's what we want. That keeps us at that lowest cost point because we don't care about leather interior. Again, we're providing you a tool to do your job, and that's what we're looking to purchase. We're not trying to purchase anyone, luxury. So
how are we doing with the larger, like dump trucks and things for roads?
So that's going to be Department of Roads. They do a little bit of their own purchasing, especially on that because of the Act 51. But I know from my personal experience, and just because I talk with Nicole on a regular basis, we're not seeing it as much of a supply chain issue with those, just because they're not a mass-produced vehicle. Those are custom-built vehicles in the first place. And on top of that, they don't have a lot of the features that we're looking for. They're basic vehicles anyways, so bare minimum construction trucks. But I could definitely follow up with that and find out if they're starting to see any currently with the Class 8. I know I've got friends in the trucking industry that they're starting to see some issues, especially with, like say, Freightliner and Navistar, that are sister companies of Chrysler and then Ford and whatnot. So I can definitely get you the information on that to see what type of delays they're seeing on that side.
Okay, that'd be good.
That's something we don't typically purchase yet.
Is there a roll-up report available of how many cars, pickups, heavy-duty trucks we have owned by the county?
Oh, yeah, we have a complete, our fleet manager keeps that, and I said that's in the Department of Roads, has an exact a sheet of every vehicle that we have. Because everyone's coded to those key fobs to use the fuel, we constantly are getting updated on their mileages, all their maintenance, everything like that. So yeah, we have intricate reports on everyone's vehicles and how many we have in the entire fleet.
Okay, so the Department of Roads, for their vehicles, they do separate purchasing, but they have the list of all the vehicles for the county.
Yeah.
Regardless of which side they're purchased on.
Correct. Just because, again, they buy, like the general county, we don't buy a lot of heavy-duty equipment. With the ones that we do is through Public Works is about it. Everything else is through, like the Class 8, those heavy-duty vehicles are through the Department of Roads. However, and the reason why then we intermingle on the fleet manager side is because the fleet manager is under the Department of Roads umbrella, but then she manages also the fleet of general county vehicles and sheriff vehicles with myself. So,
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Chair.
Okay, thank you, Larry. See no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 10-0.
Okay, next item is 10B, Ordinance 2022-07, fiscal year 2023 September year-end funds budget appropriations ordinance. Need a motion to recommend this to full board.
Support Van Sickle.
Moved by Nard, supported by Van Sickle. Steve, got anything to say? I know it's routine, but
This is normal fare, normal business.
any questions for Steve? Okay, looks like we're gonna let him off easy again today. Please vote, seeing no speakers.
Motion passes 9-0.
All right, next item is public participation. This is the opportunity for the public to participate, for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Would anyone from the public like to speak? Going once, going twice. We'll close public participation. Next item is commissioner comments. Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to share that the prosecutor's office recently hired someone with the same name as me, my Song. We don't share the same birthday, so hopefully there will be no confusions there. But most notably, she was working at Oakland County, so we took her from Oakland County. That's a win for us. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, seeing no other speakers, next item is motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Support.
Made by Nard, supported by Zinner.